The best scene in Wolfman is where the main guy is transforming into a werewolf and he starts getting his wolf super hearing and he hears this like sort of crunching, squelching noise and he goes to investigate and it's a spider from across the house. Like it's this spider moving and he's hearing like every little crunch and it's the best scene by far. Wolfman is about a man, Blake, who takes his wife, whom he's having marital troubles with, and his young daughter, whom he cares for deeply, to his father's old house. His dad just passed away, so he's going to the house to deal with moving everything out. But while there, they encounter a werewolf who attacks the man, thereby turning him into a werewolf. And I'll just say this up top, there will be spoilers in this video. It's kind of necessary for what I want to dive into with some of my problems with it. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you've been warned, there will be spoilers later on. The thing is, and this isn't the spoiler part yet, there are some exceptional scares in this movie, which shouldn't come as a surprise because it's directed by Leigh Whannell, who directed 2020's The Invisible Man, which is fantastic. And the werewolf transformation, because that's always a highlight of any werewolf movie, is also a real highlight here. It's a slow burn transformation where we gradually see him become more animalistic. The film does this really cool thing where it'll go between Blake's perspective, where we kind of see like at a certain point he stops like being able to understand his wife. It just sounds like gibberish, and then it'll transition into we understand what his wife is trying to say. The werewolf transformation is really cool, especially like when you get into like the body horror stuff where he starts like becoming the werewolf. No problems there. But the thing that makes Wolfman fall short is that it doesn't quite stick the landing when it comes to conveying some of its larger themes. And I know there will be people out there who say, oh, it's a horror movie, just, you know, enjoy the ride, it's not trying to say anything. Wolfman is a movie that's clearly trying to say something larger, and it doesn't quite work, for me at least. Wolfman is about generational trauma. In the prologue, we see Blake as a young boy with his father, and you can already tell his father is kind of a hard ass and is very mean and argumentative, reprimands Blake unnecessarily, and that sticks with Blake when he himself becomes a father. There's this neat parallel early on in the movie where Blake's daughter is like screwing off somewhere and he reprimands her. But then he apologizes. He says, I'm sorry for lashing out at that. You know, that's what you hope when you have that kind of trauma you get from your parents when you yourself become a parent, that, okay, that sticks with you, but the hope is you'll learn from your mistakes. You'll be a little bit better so that your kids don't have it as bad. But then Wolfman just doesn't know where to go with that. We know you shouldn't be mean to your children. We don't need a movie to tell us this, but what is Wolfman's thesis? What is it trying to say about these larger themes about generational trauma? Especially because toward the end of the film, we learn that the werewolf that has been terrorizing Blake and his family is Blake's father. He's not dead after all, and he's the one who attacked Blake and turned him into a werewolf, literally giving him his trauma. Blake has literally become his father, but we don't really see that. I mean, to go back to the scene where like Blake apologizes to his daughter for yelling at her a little bit, it doesn't do anything where like he tries to like fix or solve it. I mean, I guess that's the confines of the movie. He's a werewolf. He can't like do anything, but you would think that maybe he would have a little bit of humanity left where he could try to make amends. Again, I don't know the solution, but the movie doesn't capitalize on the theme by like trying to say something. It sets everything up in the beginning, in the first act, and then the second act is just him becoming a werewolf, and the third act is just werewolf stuff. Blake just becomes the monster he always feared and puts his daughter in danger, puts his wife in danger, played by Julia Garner, who gets some really good screams in. They also, I mentioned earlier that they have marital troubles, and again, that's also kind of pushed aside. You know, they just they're dealing with werewolf stuff at a certain point. And she has her own fears about being a parent. She blatantly says in the beginning that she's worried she's not connecting with her daughter the way she feels a mother should, because she's the working mom, he's staying at home, so he's doing most of the raising. So she steps up to being the parent she needs to be because she's the one not turning into a werewolf whereas he becomes his father and just kind of doesn't. And there's like a scene at the very end where he kind of, it seems like he's attacking them, and then Julia Garner shoots him. So it's like, I don't know. It seems like maybe if he like self-sacrificed him in like some kind of way to show that there was some humanity left, like he was going to, I don't know, like make sure the werewolfism that's in this area just it doesn't harm anyone else, even if that's, you know, at his own detriment. I don't know, something like that where you really drive the theme home. All the pieces are here, it just doesn't quite fit together in the neat little puzzle it should be. I know I've spent a lot of time talking about what didn't work for me, but Wolfman is a decent ride. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who just want a pretty good horror movie with, you know, decent effects, a cool werewolf, and that's enough for them. Nothing wrong with that. But for me, the movie is trying to reach these heights. It's trying to do something, and it doesn't quite hit them, which is almost frustrating because it's a good movie, and there are things there that could have made it great, but it's just stuck being good.